Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm so excited to be making another video. I've just been super busy working on my shop, but also I've been dealing a little bit with my mental health, and it isn't really super serious or bad or anything. I haven't really felt very social, you know. I haven't been able to motivate myself to do a video where I talk. I've just wanted to be alone, if that makes any sense at all. But also, as I mentioned, I've been working really hard on my shop, so I'm gonna be doing a shameless self-promotion. What is new in my shop are these super cute planner pads. We got one with a floral theme and one with a magical theme, and also a to-do list and a regular notepad. And we got some bookmarks. This one is brand new. You can get them with or without the tassels. New art prints, and also we have washi tape and a bunch of stickers, of course. And again, I've been working really hard on these products, so I would be super happy if you would like to check out my shop. Link will be in the description box below. Thank you. Now let's open the ScrawlrBox. I think this might be the February box number 90 apparently. Oh, I like the pastel color scheme. The featured art by Cherry Lemon. This is interesting, kind of like a collage or something. Here's where you can find their art. Got a whole pad of the Canson XL textured mixed media paper. That is a very thick and textured paper. One side is very textured while the other side is more smooth, so I guess you can kind of pick which one you want to draw on. Little candy with some of the tissue paper stuck on it. Delicious. Sticker. Ooh. Got a paintbrush with like an angled bristle. Lyra Mark All marker. I guess it is a paint marker with a very thick nib. And lastly, 3 very interesting looking tubes of paint. The system-free fluid acrylic paint from Dale Rowney, blue, yellow and titanium white. I'm very curious why that is interesting. The paint tube got like a little fine nozzle. Seems like the paint is pouring out, so let's close that up again. So I wonder if you're supposed to paint using the nozzle, like drawing directly with a tube, like a paint pen. Oh, it says here you can use them directly from the tube or mix them on a paint palette. Alright, let's try them out. I'm gonna activate the paint pen first. It seems very black and pigmented, and I have to say the paper is holding up really well, because usually paint pens tend to eat through the paper, but this feels like heavy duty paper. So then we have the paints. Yeah, it is actually kind of working to draw with the tube directly. It looks so smooth and delicious. I bet you can create some really interesting textures using the paints like this. My only concern is that it will probably take forever for it to dry, but we will see. Then we have the white. Yeah, even the white shows up on the paper since it is so thick. And here you can really see the texture of the paint. I am intrigued. Oh, let's paint on the black. That is very interesting. On the black marker, the paint just flows out a lot more than on the paper. I am gonna try to mix them as well. The paint got a very gooey consistency. It creates these little strings. Even if the consistency is a little gooey, it is very nice and smooth to paint with. I like it. Oh no, I was trying to make a Swedish flag with a very Swedish colors, but flag is kind of melting. Oh, we can make some dripping effects when tilting the paper. So yeah, that's my little test. I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna make with these colors. It isn't really my go-to color scheme, but let's check out the theme. Organic origins. I love painting plants and stuff, so maybe that will be what I do. Let's find out. Alright, so I dove straight into making 3 pieces. I will not work on them all at once though throughout the video, but I decided I want to paint the backgrounds first, so I went ahead and did that for all of them, all at once. This part is really simple, but I super enjoyed it, just adding paint to the paper in a very mindless fashion. I haven't really done any traditional art in a few months now. I just realized I've been doing a lot of digital work though, but I haven't really had time to sit down and just paint or draw with markers or something like that. So for this first piece I went with a little forest scene, just super simple, with green in the foreground fading out to blue in the distance. I took some black paint from the paint pen and I mixed it with the white, and I added a little bit of blue and yellow, and then I painted some trees just to make it a little more forest-like. I guess that is what defines a forest, trees. For the other 2 pieces I just went with one-colored abstract backgrounds. Here in southern Sweden it is springtime, and the wood anemones, anemones, I think that is how you say it. I always struggle with that word. They are also called windflowers, I think, which is a lot easier to say. Anyway, the wood anemones, they are starting to bloom, and they will create these huge white seas of flowers on the forest floor. I love it. It is so beautiful. So that is basically what inspired this painting. I made the flowers larger and more detailed in the foreground, and then smaller and smaller the further back in the painting they appear. And the brush was a little tricky to work with for the flower since it is angled, but it turned out okay. I think it gives a very organic look. Also, I need to talk about the paint. Even though it was a little sticky and gooey, I actually really liked it. It was very smooth and easy to work with. It is a little more fluid than regular acrylic paint, but it is still very opaque and vibrant when painting thicker layers. And I know I said I wasn't a big fan of the color scheme, which I'm still not, but when mixing them I could create these really nice tones and shades of greens, blues and teals, which I really like. So to finish off this little painting, I added some details to the flowers in the foreground. Wood anemones have this green center part, and then yellow stamens, I think they're called. There are a lot of hard words with these flowers, but they are like yellow dots around the green center. And I first thought I could use paint straight from the tubes and make the dots with, but the dots became a little too big and globby, so I just used a dotting tool instead. And this may be more like a sketch painting than a refined painting, but I like that it still feels like it has a lot of depth and details to it. Yeah, I just love how this one turned out. Then we have the blue or teal or turquoise. I haven't actually really figured out what the difference is between teal and turquoise, but anyway, I actually really like how this color turned out. These paints mix some very nice colors. For this one, I wanted to play around a bit more with the yellow paint and work more with the texture that you can create when painting with the tubes directly. And I started by painting some flower stems, and when painting the leaves growing out from the stems, this paintbrush was perfect. I just twisted the brush a bit when making the strokes, and just look how natural and organic they turned out. Probably not interesting for anyone but me, but one should always celebrate when painting good leaves. I also need stuff to talk about to fill out this video, so anyway, for the flowers I first painted a base layer with the paintbrush with a mix of yellow and white. So I take the tube with yellow paint and I kind of scribbles around the inside of the petals. It is very satisfying to use the paint like this. It kind of reminds me of putting icing on cookies, which I've only done once though, but that is what it reminds me of. To add a little bit of color variation, I add a dot of white to the center of the flowers. I actually thought it would take longer for the paint to dry when adding thicker layers, but it dried pretty quickly, which I guess is the quality of acrylic paint. So once the paint had dried, I added some black details to the flowers and it is done. Super simple and quick. I think it only took me about 20-25 minutes in total to make, but it turned out very cute. On to the next one. For this final piece, I wanted to use the black paint pen a little more, so I drew a few tree branches. My main inspiration, as you may have guessed for all of these pieces, has been springtime. I love nature at spring, when nature starts to wake up again and when the sun shines through all the fresh new leaves and it creates this golden green glow. And that is what I wanted to capture here in this painting, evening sun through the spring foliage. Honestly, I had such a good time working with these art supplies. I think this was a great combination, and it's not really a lot of art supplies to work with per se, but the way you can combine them and mix new colors and use them to achieve different effects and texture, it makes them very versatile and fun to work with. You are limited but not too limited, if that makes any sense. I made some smaller white flowers with the paint tubes, and they are not super visible since the background is pretty light and the flowers are white, but they still stands out because the paint is so thick it makes them almost 3D. And I wanted to add a little bit of detail to these flowers too, and I thought that maybe blue would look nice to add a little bit of color variation. But I kind of hated how that looked, so I just covered it up with blobs of yellow paint instead, and yeah. And just as the other paintings, I think this one turned out pretty cute too. So yeah, here they are. Let me know which one you like the most. My favorite is the wood anemones, then the yellow flowers, and then lastly the spring foliage, but really I like them all. I love the texture from the paint. It adds an interesting element, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks ScrawlrBox for the box as usual, and thank you guys for watching. There will be more videos coming really soon, I promise. But until then, I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!